Now we have House Bill 207, which does have a sub, but before we do it, and I didn't talk to Representative about this, so give me some latitude here, Representative Dietz. This bill is important, but I think it's important, and this is my opportunity to try to educate this committee, because you guys aren't as big a nerd as me, on the danger posed by computer-generated content. Now, this bill's about deepfakes and about child sex dolls too, and it's important. But the deepfakes and the AI-generated content that this bill addresses, I think it's worth talking about. Now, a year ago, I mean, we all know what ChatGPT is. I've got it on my phone. I use it to produce text stuff from time to time just for fun and to be silly. I did use it to create a bill short title. I won't tell you which bill it is, to come up with an acronym. But there are now models that are being talked about to create video content. We've seen photo content created by artificial intelligence systems that are really entertaining and fun and great. But I think it's important for you to appreciate the risk. Just 2 weeks ago, OpenAI, which is the platform or the company that develops ChatGPT, released in a very limited way a new product called Sora. And it's video content, AI-generated video content based on a text prompt. And you can find this online. This is their little introductory video. There's no sound. But this shows you the beginning here, and it's going to show you the prompt of text and then the video. Now, y'all, some of these are so good they'd fool everybody in this room. You can know that you're looking at completely fake content, but it would fool people. It's why Senator Mays Bledsoe's bill about electioneering AI-related content last week was so important, Senate Bill 131. I've got a bill that I just filed 317 a day or two ago on performing artists and protecting their name, their likeness, and their image. But there's a criminal element to the use of these sorts of platforms and devices too, and that it's dangerous. And so I wanted to just demonstrate this. If you wouldn't mind, Robert, hitting play for a couple of minutes here. This one is nuts. And wow. Thanks, YouTube. What has the LRC account been pulling up? Look, but see that again, none of this is real. None of this is real. And the clips that show an actual human are the terrifying ones. That man doesn't exist. That scene doesn't exist. Thank you. So I wanted to show that to show what these systems are capable of today. And when this sort of software gets democratized, as it certainly will, and becomes available on every smartphone anywhere and on bad actors, computers everywhere, the risk of what can be done is incredibly dangerous or incredibly great and pretty terrifying for children in particular. I'm going to let Representative Dietz talk about the bill. I do want to say that the substitute keeps the substance of the bill entirely there, but makes two really big changes. It adds a more comprehensive definition of computer. It changes digitization to computer-generated image or computer-modified image, computer-generated image. And then I want to thank Randall for catching that one of the sections or statutes for possession of the material wasn't included in the original bill, and none of us managed to notice that, but he did, and so now it does. So with that, I make a motion on the sub. There's a second from Senator Wheeler. I think I heard first. All those in favor of adopting the sub, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Representative Dietz. Hope you don't mind I took the liberty of showing some of that there at the beginning, but you have the floor.
No, thank you. Stephanie Dietz, State Representative from the 65th District. I'll let my guests introduce themselves, but thank you for the word change because the word digitization was very hard to say on the floor, so I do appreciate that change. So I'll let my witnesses introduce themselves.
My name is Jeremy Merle. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Counter-Exploitation for the Attorney General's Office.
Mike Bowling, Lieutenant with the State Police, Commander of Electronic Crime and the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I believe that Chair Westerfield actually brought this bill in the past several years that probably predates my being here. This is a piece of legislation that will give our law enforcement the tools they need to protect our children from predators and exploitation. House Bill 207 adds definitions of child sex doll, computer-generated image. House Bill 207 makes it illegal to possess, traffic, import, or promote a child sex doll, and goes on to include offenses where it involves computer-generated images that uses an actual minor or minors as the source, as we just saw in what Chair Westerfield showed us with AI and the dark web. This bill has the support of our Attorney General, the Kentucky State Police, the Kentucky Sheriff's Association, and the Kentucky Association of Chiefs of Police, and several victim advocate groups. House Bill 207 closes a loophole that has allowed pedophiles to practice victimization of children. This bill will save countless children from rape, sexual abuse, and trafficking. And I'll turn this over to my witnesses.
Good morning, members of the community. On behalf of Attorney General Russell Coleman, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm going to talk about the child sex doll portion. Years ago, I used to sit in Lieutenant Bowling's seat, was the ICAC Task Force Commander. We intercepted a number of these dolls. Just want to say that when you come across one of these child sex dolls, there is no doubt why it was created and what it's used for. And we're appreciative of the language that does close the current loophole and will allow us to charge the offenders that are using these dolls. We also believe that this bill provides law enforcement and prosecutors tools to combat a newer trend in child sex abuse material, and that is the AI portion that Senator Westerfield just shared with you. And I will turn it over to Lieutenant Bowling to talk about that.
Thank you, sir. Just like Mr. Chairman explained, AI is here, and I have found that AI is phenomenal for middle school algebra because I use it all the time for that. And we use it in our schools to get ideas for thesis papers and research papers. But like any phone application or any tool that we use for good, there are going to be those that seek it out for bad. And talking about nudifying or to nudify an image, since I testified in the House Judiciary, we have a very famous case nationally after the Super Bowl involving a very famous singer that had her pictures spread across the nation in a matter of seconds, if not minutes. A simple AI prompt, and her pictures are everywhere. And that's the thing with these applications, with these websites, these AI-generated websites. You can take a known picture. And, for example, it could be a classmate in school, a clothed, clean, normal picture, as we would call normal. Load it into this AI program, and the AI program will tell you what this person will look like nude and generate an image for you to save or do whatever you want to with it. So I think about my kids that are in high school, middle school, and college. What if a picture of one of my kids was posted somewhere, shared around, because that happens. The main thing we want to do is to save victimization. We want to save the psychological impact it will have on our school kids with cyberbullying, with these images being passed around, and obviously empower these individuals and say that, Kentucky, this is a deterrent. We're not going to stand for it. We're on the edge of technology, and we're doing everything we can to fight those that want to offend using it. But thank you very much for your time.
Got a motion from Senator Schickel and a second from Senator Wheeler on the bill as amended by the sub. Members, any questions? Senator Berg.
I'm sorry to always have questions. The AI part of this bill, I don't have any questions about, but I was completely unfamiliar with child sex dolls, so I had, of course, to Google it last night. I was a little scared to put it in my search engine, but I did, and apparently there is research on the subject. Not much, but there are what they call MAPs, minor attracted persons. And the limited amount of research that's done on these dolls, guys, suggests that they actually, for people who are attracted to minors, that these dolls actually decrease their proclivity to go out and attack children. That it actually gives them a release that makes them less likely to go outside of their home. And what was interesting is the research did not support the same conclusions for people who were adult attracted using dolls. That did not diminish their proclivity to engage other people, but for those with the... So I'm just a little concerned that, and like I say, the research is not very good. It is not comprehensive, but the research that is out there is conclusive, equivocally conclusive.
I actually disagree, and I'll let Representative Deeds
Okay,
respond
thank
if
you.
she'd like. We've got expert testimony who shared testimony by letter with this committee several years ago when I filed the bill, and gave an updated letter to the representative in support of her bill, which says the exact opposite. You want to respond?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the question. In your packets, I'm not sure if it made its way in there, is a letter from Dr. Connor that says something completely different. So Dr. Connor's very well respected, at least in northern Kentucky, I think across the state, and he provides the assessments for sexual offenders and reports back to the court. So for him to provide this letter, and what he says it is actually, it's an escalation in behavior if you're using a child sex doll. And what we're really trying to do with the child sex doll, and what we found is that our law enforcement needs something. So if there's a child sex doll, that didn't give them probable cause to get in the door to look at the phone or look at the computer or look at the pictures. This is going to give them a tool to get to the next step that they need in order to protect our children. But Dr. Connor's letter should be in there, and it's updated from 2024, and I talked to him before having him
I don't think
submit
it is
the
in
letter.
members' folders, but I'll make sure it's distributed today.
Okay, thank you.
Because we have the updated letter. Thank you.